So thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you guys again. So today we're going to walk through how we can leverage the Atlassian toolset, specifically Jira Service Management, product discovery, and software. This session, it's designed to show you guys how these tools work together to streamline intake, improve visibility, and connect discovery through delivery. When we talk about Jira Service Management, we're going to look at intake workflows for incidents, requests, and changes. We'll also take a look at approvals, SLA tracking, and responder coordination. When we talk about product discovery, we'll look at capturing and prioritizing product ideas and internal initiatives, as well as linking discovery work to delivery teams and collaborating across stakeholders and surfacing strategic insights. In our project management section, we'll look at structuring projects with epics, tasks, and sprints, visualizing timelines and dependencies, and looking at dashboards and reporting for PMO and team leads. At the end, we'll touch on a few third-party apps that can integrate with Jira pretty well that will enhance productivity by allowing teams to streamline workflows, centralize information, and automate cross-platform processes, all without leaving the tools they already use. As I'm going through these sections, will you guys please just note down any questions that come up, because we'll leave some time at the end to go over them. All right, so first, before we go into the IT support help desk, let's go to the main portal. So to help manage the workload of our IT teams, as well as maximizing how users can use the knowledge database, we have two levels of deflection. The first level is here at the search bar. We're just going to type in email and see what pops up. So here, we should have 3 articles relating to email questions. And if they can't get their answers there, they can just go to IT help. We have a second level of deflection, which is categorizing all of the knowledge base articles here into things that they might be asking questions for. If they can't get their answers there, they can proceed to the dynamic request forms. Okay, Okay, so here we see how the department has configured their request types in a tree hierarchy. This should help the user be able to find the request easily versus filling out just a general form that doesn't have automations built in for quick routing on our end. So we're going to click into common requests and let's select get IT help. I want to show you guys the difference between what different users see. On the right-hand side, I'm logged into the portal and I'm a manager, so I can raise this request on behalf of myself or an employee that I manage. Mary, however, is just a user, so she doesn't get that option. Okay. Oh, and one thing I wanted to show also at the top here is that you guys can create announcements, such as this one, that's like, oh, we're going to have reduced staff next Monday, so we're just going to be out, so please give us more time to get to it. So the first field that Mary is going to fill out is a conditional field. This is going to dictate what pops up below based on the selection that we choose. So there's a certain level of deflection also on these options. So if we're choosing my device and we choose laptop, one of the common things is, have you tried turning it off and on again? If they've already done that, they can put in their asset tag and we can help them. If they go in and say that they need system access and they say that they forgot their password, that we can just ask them, please reset your password and show them where they can go and do that. So this is a type of form that showcases the dynamic ability of getting to the issue and helping or guiding the user to provide good information for the service desk so that we can really get in there and start troubleshooting. To demonstrate an automated approval routing, though, I want to look at a request that Mary had sent earlier. So she sent a request saying she needs a new laptop because she spilled coffee on it. This is going to require approval. And since I'm Mary's manager, it's been routed to me because I'm logged in here. And so this approval is going to pop up right here, and then I will select approve. So let's also look at setting up a new employee. So the way that this field works is that it ties into what HR has already set up for their employee database. So we'll raise this request on behalf of me because I am the manager. Yes, this is being recorded. So we'll type the summary in here, and based on what we type, we can get the suggested articles again, linking to our knowledge database. And this new employee, we choose from a drop-down, and this is where it ties into the HR system. And so we'll just select them, start date, and then you can also select the hardware and the software that they need to have set up. And that's going to tie into our automations through our service management desk. So let's go ahead and send that. Okay. And then anytime someone submits a request, they will automatically get this down here saying it's been submitted successfully, so there's no question. They'll also get a summary of what they submitted. And here they can see the comments from the IT team if they have more questions, or they can see the status of that ticket. And they can choose whether or not to have those notifications on or off. So let's hop over to the service management queue as the agent. So we'll see the information that was provided here. And then based on that information, we'll have subtasks that pop up that can link to other department service queues such as procurement or facilities. And then up here you see the SLAs. And because I'm the manager who submitted it, I don't have to give approval because it's me who submitted it. Okay, see? And then as the IT member, you can add either an internal note here to your internal team, or you can add a reply to the customer, and that's what's going to show up over on that portal login. And then to see how the service desk is performing, a really cool feature of this that I love is the wallboard. So if you guys have like a war room setup where you can display this reporting, you can turn this into a wallboard that will automatically filter through the different types of graphs that you have, and it will automatically update that information based on however long you want it to update. And so some of these things that it can show you are like this pie chart. This shows you how many different issue types you have. And this is pretty easy to see that 65% of the work is towards service requests. So as a manager, you can use that data to come up with solutions to decrease that resource allocation. There's also this one down here, which shows you the average age, the average number of days issues were unresolved for over a given period. And so this shows that maybe there's some continuous improvement needed for the service management desk to perform better. Other types of information that you can see here are like, depending on who is logged in, looking at this dashboard. So for me, this is showing me that these are the tickets in the service queue that are assigned to me, and these are the issues that I am watching. So that's the IT support help desk. Now we're going to jump over and we're going to take a look at the IT operations help desk. So let's go back to the portal. And operations has a separate portal for people to submit information to. And the one that we're going to take a look at today is the change enablement. So we have a couple different types of changes and different ways that we handle them. So we have something called a standard change. And standard changes are pre-approved. So it'll skip the approval and it'll go straight to implementation. And on the back end, we have it configured that a rule will route that approval straight to implementation. A normal change is a little bit more involved. So this is where we're going to ask more questions because we need to evaluate it and make sure that we're doing a risk assessment along with the service that was selected. And for instance, like here, we're using billing, and we can configure these services to have tiers that factor into our calculation, but the bulk of our calculation will be based off of these three questions. I already have it submitted, so let's go ahead and look here. Nope, okay. So here we're just asking to upgrade an application. And so they've gone through, they've selected that billing is a service that's going to be affected. And then we have the risk questions down here. And automatically there is a risk score calculated that will show you, what level of risk it is. So this is going to be during prime/peak business hours. So that's going to be a high score. And then these other ones also have different scores. And what's really nice is that we can link a knowledge database here that shows a person how that risk is calculated. The other type of change that we have is the guided change. And so this is a change option that walks people through the steps, and regardless of what kind of change it is, instead it will use a dynamic form to be able to assess that by asking different questions and to route it appropriately. In addition, we can also link this, which is a change plan template, and ask them to complete that so that we get all of the required information in order to move forward efficiently. Okay, so that is the end of the service management demo. If you guys have questions, we'll answer them at the end. So now we're going to go into our product discovery. So this is how we manage and evaluate ideas across our portfolio. It helps us gather, prioritize, and connect our discovery work to delivery. So let's jump into this project. So this is a demo I've set up for your engineering team. So each of these cards represents an idea, whether that's a feature request, an internal tool enhancement, or a system integration need. We use this space as our single source of truth during discovery, so that by the time something hits delivery, we've already validated the need and captured supporting context. We have a couple of different views here, and whoever uses this view, it depends on what's important to them. And so this list view, it allows you to pre-organize and visualize ideas based on what fields you select to show. And with JPD, you can combine multiple data points to define dynamic, calculated, and weighted fields, such as this one, which is the objective, the company objective. And you can see that these different objectives are weighted differently depending on how important they are to the company. We have an impact versus effort view, and this allows you to visually compare scoring combinations such as effort level or business impact to identify areas that meet our criteria rapidly. So by using data-driven multidimensional prioritization methods that incorporate input, do these ideas in GP come from a form submission in JSM? It can be, but we also have a create idea form up here as well. Okay. So let's see. So we can guarantee by using that type of prioritization that we are building the appropriate features that we will have the most significant impact on our product. This other roadmap view, this is a view that lets you create custom boards to create different stages across columns and group ideas by fields and layers of data points. The columns we have here are pretty basic, so it's what are we working on now, next, later, and what we are going to do. And I have it grouped by company objective. The timeline view allows you to create monthly and quarterly roadmaps displaying ideas, and this can also be filtered to group by any field you choose. And again, I've also chosen company objective. I found that that's kind of the most important thing from my perspective. So the delivery status focuses on the documentation or materials required to move to delivery. For instance, here we have specs. Are the specs ready for this idea? Are the designs ready? And it gives us confidence we are ready to create a project when we have that necessary information. We can quickly and easily create a linked delivery ticket like a Jira Epic or a user story. And this helps product teams track how the delivery teams are progressing on the idea. It can also help us tell the story of the entire life cycle of an idea to a stakeholder and show how initiatives that originated with a customer conversation further progress through the stages of the product or service development lifecycle. So let's jump into the anatomy of an idea. So good question. Yes, you can set up a service management portal for it, but you could also have this form here that is configured with the information that you want to gather for that specific idea. And depending on what discovery project it is, you might have different forms because different information is required. So for instance, this is engineering, but maybe marketing has a different set of criteria they want to see. Let's see, and then I'm gonna jump into one that's already created. So we have these different tabs at the top. You have this overview, which is everything that the user has submitted, and then we have all of these fields that you can configure. A product manager sometimes wants to connect with another stakeholder to have follow-up questions or deeper conversations, and so you can have this here in the comments, such as, "Hi Mary, do you have additional information on this idea? Let's schedule a brainstorm with the steering committee." And then here in the insights, you can also link product documentation. So if they have completed a product requirements form, you can link it to this. And what's also great about linking it to this is that you can click here and see if it's the most up-to-date version, so you can have some version control. So going back over to the overview tab, there's one field that I'd really like to highlight because this ties in another one of the Atlassian tools, which is Atlas. So if a stakeholder wants to see and set the status of an Atlas goal that's related to this idea, we can add Atlas as that smart link field, and it'll pull open the goal in Atlas. And here is where we document the high-level company goals and projects. And so this example is increasing product efficiency, and it's fed by these 3 sub-goals. So 20% reduction in average feature delivery time within 6 months, and 15% improvement in product performance benchmarks. You can also set up like an organization level project so that you can track all of the things that are happening with it. And you can also see what Jira issues are linked to this or what ideas are feeding it. And that's product discovery. So going back over to the slide deck, we're now going to be talking about project management. So we'll start with how to choose the template. Create project. So obviously you can see we have a million templates depending on what type of project you want to do. When choosing a project template, consider the nature of the work, the team's workflow, and the level of customization needed. So for instance, software development projects can use templates like Scrum or Kanban, and these are more suitable for it. And if you click into it, you also have the option to choose a team managed project, which offers more autonomy for your teams, while a company managed project is better suited for standardized workflows across multiple teams. So now let's look at 2 different types of agile projects. We have our marketing software development project as well as our platform development software project. So the marketing one runs on a Kanban board, and it uses similar issue types to the sprint board, but it has epics, user stories, tasks, bugs, and subtasks, whereas the sprint board also employs initiatives, which captures epics and everything below. So the Kanban board works on workflows continuously through stages without fixed time boxes, whereas the sprint board whereas sprints, you set like a certain amount of time and then you check in with each team, so you can run it on a week or 2-week basis. And then here in the backlog, you can see all of the issues that aren't tied to sprints and how they're organized into sprints here. And you can schedule out as far as you can plan. And then for each of these different types of agile boards, we have different types of KPIs that are important to that team. So for instance, the Kanban will focus on flow metrics, whereas the Scrum emphasizes sprint-related metrics like velocity or sprint burn down. And within each of these reports, you can refine it based off of what you want to see specifically. So you just apply, say, I want to see what is assigned to me. Or over here on the velocity report, once it loads, you can see that you can choose, different sprints and see the information related to that sprint. And then going back to how we set up the project, we have two different types of automations that we can set. One is workflows, and workflows define the sequence of statuses an issue moves through, whereas rules automate actions based on conditions. So workflows are like a visual map of the issue's life cycle, outlining the stages and the transition, whereas rules trigger actions automatically based on conditional criteria. And this is like automating fields like assignments, limiting transitions, or initiating task creation. Let's open this bigger. Another function that we have for our projects is forms. And forms can help streamline workflow and communication by enabling teams to collect information or issues from internal as well as external stakeholders. So this includes gathering requests, feedback, or other information needed for project tasks and deliverables. And it provides a standardized way to receive and manage that data and ensures that all necessary information is captured in a consistent format. So for our issues, we can see them either in a list form, which shows you the hierarchy of those issues, or we can look at just a general issue repository. And we can filter based off of assignee, priority, date, or even a custom field that you create like a label. So let's create an issue and I can show you all of the data points that are asked. When you create an issue, it is the team or the company that configures how these forms lay out. And so depending on either what project you are on, it dictates what kind of information is requested. In here, you can also set dependencies. So what is coming before this and blocking this issue, or what is coming after it. And then also similar to JPD, where you link a goal to an idea, like we saw in Atlas over here, you can also link a goal to an issue. And so you can track both ideas and current issues that are happening for a company goal. We also have, for the software development projects, we also have sections like called releases. And so in these releases, we can track what tasks are bundled into that release to make sure that there is no oversight or unforeseen errors once that release date comes. And I think in this one, we have a better view of what that looks like. Oh, no, that's one I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, it looks like the same thing. It just has issues down here populated. So you can see all of the issues that need to get done for that, and you can see the progress of those issues. Okay. So outside of those things, if you have more needs, there are plenty of integrations that we can use. So for instance, we have the Jira REST API. This enables you to interact with Jira programmatically. It helps you build apps, script interactions with Jira, or develop any other type of integration. For ServiceNow, we can use Exalate. It's a great tool for integrating ServiceNow with Jira. You can access the app from the top bar under the apps section. You can configure Exalate to sync with specific projects or a lot of projects, and it supports bidirectional synchronization. The example here is showing you how through a task, we can click down here to Exalate, and then we can go through to ServiceNow. And so now once we click through that, we're in ServiceNow, and we're looking at the incident ticket that was created from that issue. And since it is a bidirectional sync, If you make a comment here in ServiceNow, you can see that pop up on the issue on the right. And another example is you change the status of the ticket to in progress, that will automatically change the status in ServiceNow. Xelate can also do a GitHub integration. However, this is like more aligned with issue and ticket creation. And so you just sync it in the same way that you would sync ServiceNow. It's fairly similar. But there is already a tool in Jira, which is called the tool chain, and you can use that tool chain to add the code depository and sync it through script, and that will pop up on the software project that you need to use. Admit. Okay. So you can fine-tune what gets synced and how using script-based configuration. You can control field mappings, conditions for syncing, and transformation of data between systems. You can automatically link development activity to Jira tickets using smart commits. And this enables DevOps features like deployment tracking, cycle time reporting, and automation triggers. And so here, back into the issue, once it's deployment over here, you submit a pull request, and then you can see in this issue that under the development section, you see the branch and the commits, the pull request, and then the builds. Next one that we have is Figma. So we can integrate Figma and Jira to help make collaboration smoother between designers and their software teams. And so once you install the app, you can see this button at the top called Add Design. It'll pop up this link here for you to put the URL to the design in. And when you click on it, it uploads the frame that is in that URL. And if you want to click through, you can go there, and then it'll bring you into the development screen in Figma. And I think that this is a new view designed to make a clean, easy inspection. And then once that is updated, it will automatically show in the Jira ticket that that design has been updated. And that way you don't miss any changes and you don't have to go back and do any unnecessary rework. So those are all of the integrations that I have to show you. So Shane, I'm gonna hand it over to you to walk us through the big picture functions.
Excellent, thank you, Mario. All right, let's see if I can present a screen. Now, for starters, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Sounds like a lot of you, Mario, it sounds like they're really brand new to Jira, correct? All right, so let's go over a couple of easy concepts and back out. So in Jira, we have these things called projects. You don't just create a project and delete it. These things are long-standing running things, okay? Now, what we do is generally we have these teams associated with these projects. And of course, team members come and go. You break down work and track it however you want to do it. As you said, are we running sprints? Okay, 1 to 2 weeks. We're going to track work that we want to break down over a couple of weeks. Or we run it Kanban style, waterfall. Well, now a lot of people that I run into and giving demos is I'm like, well, how have you been tracking your stuff? They're like, spreadsheets. I hear spreadsheets like a lot. So what we're looking at here are these Jira projects. Now, big picture is an app built on top of this to enhance things that Jira just doesn't do well. And one of the first things, and I'm not going to get click happy on all of you, but one of the things I do want to point out is that not everybody's running Agile. Now, we can accommodate a team that is running Agile. You don't have to be Agile. You can run hybrid. We're doing waterfall, but we've broken our work down into buckets, essentially. You can run straight waterfall. Big picture loves your teams for exactly who they are. We don't have to ask you to do anything else. Now, I want to point out a couple of things. I would love some feedback on this. So we do want to look at resource management, but let's start at one easy picture. Anybody have any idea what I'm going right here? Throw it in there. Anybody in the chat? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? All right.
Workflow?
that workload dependencies. If you want to lose track of your portfolio management solution, don't track your dependencies. Well, in Jira, we have this thing just called a link. And the link says this issue blocks this issue from going. So we have the ability to look at that. And to be honest, if I saw something that looked like this, I would have cause for concern, right? It's something that as a project manager, you want to be able to track these things to look at them further. Now, as we said, we have teams, some teams running sprints, some teams running waterfall. Big picture can track that regardless of what you're doing. And we can track dependencies. It's one thing for a single team to have a dependency between themselves. It's another thing if we're tracking dependencies across these teams. So in a portfolio management solution, we absolutely have to track these things. And it sounds complicated. It's not. We open up an issue, this issue blocks that issue. It's going to automatically appear here. Okay. Now, another thing that Big Picture does a good job of, and since y'all are new to Jira, I'm trying to stay out of a lot of configuration. But one of the things that we want to account for is in Jira, you're going to have a licensed user. Okay. And those licensed users at some point are going to be an assignee. I need to know a little bit of information about these assignees. And so what I'm looking at here is, well, we only have a small instance here, but we want to do a little cross. This serves as like a cross-reference table. Somebody's assigned an issue. Tell me a little metadata about that user. And again, y'all have been doing project management, so you've seen this. It's just in a different form. And one of the first things I need to know is, wait a minute, do they work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week? Or, and we live in dynamic times. Are they part-time? Do they work on weekends? We want to be able to capture all that and associate that to the user. The next thing we want to be able to capture, holiday plans. And Europe, holiday means something a little different. This is not PTO. This is, okay, Christmas, Thanksgiving, things of that nature. And the last thing we want to be able to capture is skills. And I'll show you why it's important here in a minute. But there's only 3 on here. It's unlimited of the skills that you can have. And they don't necessarily have to be one-to-one. I can attach multiple skills to a given resource. Well, what does this look like when you finally get it right? And so we've loaded up Jira issues. We've attached Jira issues. And, in Big Picture, we can now see them. And so what it winds up looking like is that when we come in to look at our resources, what we want to see, and let me see, somebody turned this off. Let's go with remaining capacity. All right, so this looks complicated. It's not. So I need a little bit of math in here. Are you using story points? Not everybody understands story points, or time tracking. Give me one of those two. And when you create an issue, give me a beginning date and an end date. And with that little information, we can roll up things that says, okay, here's a good one right here. Anna has been assigned 20 hours of work for this week. She has 20 hours remaining. Here's her overall capacity. Now, we understand this capacity because we've got that handy dandy cross-reference table. How many hours a day can I allocate and what have you? And so again, what we have is an issue. Now, remember we talked about skills. So I can also roll up attached to a person. I don't have great data here, but as you're making your plans for the future, maybe you get to the point where we'll go, I need an analyst or a developer or what have you. Do I have somebody that has the capacity to assign an issue to? As you can see, we can forecast this out a half year or a year. Again, you can go out really far on it. You can go as granular as you want, down to the week level if needed. One thing to pay attention to is notice there are some dark light gray columns here. Now, this example, this is a Saturday and a Sunday. And that's not applicable to everybody, but it's an example that's here. Now, this product was developed in 2015. And I know everybody loves to talk about Agile. Oh, they love talking about that. Waterfall Gantt is by far our most popular module. People use it and they won't stop. So what are we looking at here? I have a Jira issue, and it's got an assignee, and it needs to be forecasted to put out. So what you can do with Big Picture, some of the tools that it provides, is that notice these dark gray columns, light gray columns are back. It represent a Saturday or a Sunday. So if I attempt to schedule an issue when my resource is not available, this Big Picture won't allow you to do it. Okay? So there's a lot of configuration in here, but you are new to Jira. And the last thing I want to do is throw too much information at you at one time. Just realize Big Picture is there to grow with you, right? So you start off small. Yeah, let's start off and bring in a team. Let's get this forecasted out, right? And let's develop a plan. And I don't think I have, back to our resources. Now, as you're putting your plan on a timeline, this is like Microsoft Project Easy. So as you're putting things on a timeline, now we can see, do we have the capacity to carry out this plan? It is not complicated to get here. I need Jira issues that have a beginning and end date, time tracking or story points, however you want to do this. And then I just need to configure my resources. What are their daily activities like? You know, again, do they work 8 hours a day? Are they part-time? And from here, we can roll up an effective plan to carry out. And again, we can zoom out as far as we want. We can look at this on a timeline, you know, again, standard project management methodology style. All right, give me 1 second because I had a list. With Big Picture, of course, with this product, of course, we come with all the standard, what is it called? The dependency links. That's Gantt style, start to end to start. We also come with, this issue blocks this issue, right? So with Big Picture, kind of the last thing to show you, unless, Marielle, you wanted me to get into too much more, I didn't want to overwhelm them with too much information. I think that'd be a terrible idea. Is that we can do one more thing with this that's really cool, is that we can have a scheduling mode on these issues. And by the way, this is the standard project management. I can go auto bottom up, which basically states, I want the children of a higher level issue. I want the children to drive the beginning and end dates on there, all right? And also, one of the things I failed to see is that I can create a baseline here. Standard PMBOK. Notice that there's now a horizontal bar there showing you what the schedule was or currently is. And that way, if this thing slips into the future, we can see that we've now lost our baseline, right? So we can do a couple of things, right? We can do that scheduling mode. I want the children to drive everything from the bottom up. And we can also go auto top down. And for that, auto top down, we have a go-to-market date. We know the beginning and end date. Do not allow the children of this issue to be scheduled outside of those known dates. All right. Now, there is a lot about Big Picture. And usually when I'm demoing this is people that have been around Jira for a while. So I don't want to overwhelm you with too many more clicks into the configuration or anything like that. Mariel, unless there's something you think that they would like to see.
Can you show us some more of how like tracking OKRs or financial tracking, tracking?
Yeah, absolutely. So Big Picture also comes with a, now this is Big Picture Enterprise. It's Big Picture with an additional license. We can also track some of your financials. Now this is not to be mistaken with your actual financial team. This is a blended rate. It's a blended rate based off of a team. And a team is nothing. There are Jira teams. You just add people to them. It's an easy concept. So off this blended rate, I can now start tracking against, particular initiatives. And also against this, I can create a baseline and create this baseline and compare where our original forecast was to kind of where we are now. So, and the other thing that we can do is that we could look at this concept, objectives and key results. That seems to be an ubiquitous concept across the industry. And all that you're doing, and again, you don't have to adhere to a project management methodology style. You don't have to be agile. Whatever you want to be. What happens is that we have large objectives that we want to accomplish. We break those down into these things called key results, and you link them to your Jira issues. And what's cool about this is that it's its own object. It's a great way to have like a monthly style meeting where we've planned out work for the next 3 months. Where do we stand? Are we going to accomplish our goals? And what's cool about this being its own object is that if I click on it, I can select update, and we can select the current status of this. And also with Jira out of the box, just like on Slack or any of your other, those social media apps, you can mention a person. It'll automatically send an email if needed or a notification of some sort. And again, you have that ability to break down your work, assign it to the Jira issues that's going to complete it, and track it at whatever interval you want. Is this work that we need to accomplish in the month, 2 months, and 3 months, and a year? We're able to track that down. Anything else, Mariel, that you'd like for me to show?
No, that hits on all of the points that I have listed. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you all very much.
Okay, so that concludes our demo. We can go ahead and start answering any of the questions that you have. I see there's some in the chat here, but it looks like we've answered most of them.
Yeah, I did go ahead and answer those. Are there any questions on the portfolio management? I know Camlin had mentioned you guys were looking into Jira Align, and my professional recommendation is Jira Align can be great for bigger organizations, but the thing we found with customers is it's so big, it's hard to maintain long term. It takes a lot of manual preparation the month before quarterly planning to keep it updated. And I know Atlassian's trying to figure out how to integrate it into their solution so it doesn't do that. But I think big picture is a strong competitor really to Jira Align, and it works more automated. There's not manual preparation you're going to have to do before planning and stuff like that. So I've seen it be really powerful with organizations, especially as they scale. Oh, Shane, you're muted.
Thank you. My fault. So I'm a former Jira Align administrator, and Jira Align is the nuclear option. It is the Maserati of scaled agile reporting. They do things that we will never touch in big picture. The difference is that big picture loves your teams for exactly where they are right now. And if you're not scaled agile, and it's not just part of your entire company needs to commit to scaled agile to be part of Jira Align. It's expensive, or fairly expensive, but it's expensive for a reason. It is an amazing product, but you have to commit. And I think I've seen it on average 4 to 6 months to onboard to Jira Align is what I've seen. And forgive me, I hope that's in sync with what you were thinking.
Yep. Yeah, I think because we're looking at it, and I think it can be really powerful, but that they do need to make sure to have those cadences, the planning cadences in place. And so I think with where your company is at, working on solidifying a consistent process for you guys and getting the teams bought into that and adopted, and then scaling from there will allow you down that path, but I think it would be really hard, like Shane said, to adopt it without really structured processes in place and teams to support that, because it is scaled agile. Any questions on the functionality that was shown or anything we missed?
Can we go over Jason's question?
Oh,
He wants to go over the approval workflow on the Confluence document.
okay.
So Tricia, that's a separate app. Forgive me if I'm out of place on here. There's an app called Kamalo Docket. That's one of our apps. Maybe maybe Jer-nee has another app, but Kamalo Document Management is the main app that we have at AppFire.
Can you demo that, Shane?
No, different team. I don't have a demo environment for it. I can direct, if anybody wants to see it, we're happy to work with you, Tricia, and Marielle to have a demo for it.
Yeah, and we used to have it in our instance, but we just removed it like weeks ago. But I did want to, since we're talking about Confluence, just pull up the versioning so you can see the versioning. So Confluence is very similar to Google Docs, where you have inline editing, so multiple people can edit something at the same time. There's also templates. So, whoops, let me come over here. So if I create a new page, let me get this out of here. If I create a new page, I can go to my templates, or I can import a document, and there are tons of templates that you can start with. Once you solidify what your templates are, you can build those as blueprints in your instance so that it shows up here as a template to be used, so that it's just the ones you're using, right, in the tool, rather than using the out-of-the-box ones. But that gives you an idea of what should be in certain things, like their project plan templates, meeting note templates. And then if you just click it, it creates the page with that template, and then you can modify from there. When you have a page that already exists, let's find one that has some changes on it. You can click the 3 dots here and see version history, and it will show you the versions. You can click on a version and compare it to the latest version or another version to see what those changes were. And it gives you a little legend up here. And with the Kamala, how it works is the same type of process. You have statuses inside your document, and you can set up approval workflows so that, once you move it to a certain status, it can trigger that approval process, notify people, and then take it through the approvals and publish it once completed. There are statuses out of the box on pages that you can manually add. I think it's inside it. I don't know why I'm not seeing that option. That's settings.
Hey, Jason, are you looking for more like a process would be when you guys are working on your business requirements and seeking approval from the business folks to say, yes, you've captured what I need, and then once they kind of approve or sign off, then the development team does their work based off of that document?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And so it would be, okay, this is the business requirements. And then you can build a workflow to go to the appropriate business folks so that they can review and then hit like an approve button or trigger off discussions from there. And so we go back and forth until finally there was an agreement on, yes, this is 100% what the business requirements are. So then we can build, our scope off of that.
Got it. Yeah. And so there is, I don't know why I'm not seeing it. I updated to the new UI. I don't know if that's why, but there is native approved document approvals within Confluence and statuses. So, and I can send you a quick, after I figure out why I'm not seeing the option. Typically it's up here that you see the draft status or in approvals, and then you can add a status manually to any page like this, and this is what it would look like. You could say approved, but there is some native functionality that might be able to meet that requirement, and I can send you a follow-up recording of that.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I assume that every time it changes, like there's an email notification that goes out to the appropriate folks.
Yes, you can set that up.
So they don't necessarily need to be in the Jira instance to hit approve on an email or something like that. Or
yeah, I mean, you should be able to have a guest user that could actually go to the page. I'll need to double check if they'll be able to click approve. I don't see why they wouldn't, but all right.
So like it would be great. I mean, just to see if, let's say, for example, on the business approval, I get the notification and this is the latest changes, X, Y, and Z. And then I can hit approve within that email. I don't even have to go into the app or the instance or have a license within it.
Okay.
To give my approval. And so I think for the next session, I will, at least me and my project team, we would like to understand what all the components we would need to get to meet all of our wish lists. So I think we may need one more session to just make sure we all understand exactly what all those wish lists are, or in other words, our business requirements.
Yeah.
And then you can help guide us, which tools we're going to need, and maybe in a 2-phased approach or 3-phased approach, and then break those out by cost.
Hey, perfect. And so, yeah, I think maybe in another session talking through that, because I think if we were just to make sure we're capturing all of the user groups, right? Because if it's just PMO, I think we've got most of those requirements solidified and understand the tools. But if they're, Camlin has mentioned you guys scaling it to the entire organization. And so just understanding what other groups may need functionality built out and what their requirements are to ensure we also quote you any products that would be needed for that. Hey, with 1 minute to spare, are there any last minute questions?
One question I had was how simple is it to set up a project in big picture? Maybe tying it to dev, to Jira, Confluence, the development part. No, it's similar to Microsoft projects, but how similar is it? Is it pretty much the same? Less cool. We know throughout the call, we're like, I don't want to go too much into clicks, too much into details, but definitely interested in how many clicks I would take.
All right. So again, I want to share my screen. We'll show you how simple this is. But realize as I'm sharing this is predicated that you have Jira projects set up, that you've got your workflows and all that stuff. So if we come back out, we'll come back out to an overview, right? So like this. So we're going to select one of our boxes that we've configured from overview. We go into configurations, task, scope definition. And from scope definition, Again, this is a little more, there's a little Jira knowledge in here. So I can go, yeah, there you are. You're associated to a project. Go retrieve all of the issues and place them into this box. Or I can tell it, you know what? I have only Scrum and or Kanban boards. You can grab that. Now, in Jira, there's something called JQL, Jira Query Language. And it's a way where you can, almost like a database type call to go, I want a potpourri of items. Go get this stuff. So however you want to populate this box, that's your only step, is to either place in the Jira project, and it knows all the Jira projects. You don't have to guess. It'll tell you every one of the Jira projects, or what kind of board do I want to put in there, or I want a filter. That's simple, and it's loaded.
So JQL would be the base of pulling all this information into the project?
No, well, not really. No, JQL is it's a third alternative. I can approach Jira to go grab a Jira project. Jira project has all the issues in it. Grab that Jira project, or I can tell it to get an individual like sprint board. I just want to load it with this one sprint board. Or the last option is that you can go, yeah, make this complicated JQL call, and I want to populate big picture with a mishmash, just different types of issues. However you want to do that, right?
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I have another meeting in here.
You're muted.
If there are any follow-up questions that we did not get to, feel free to send them to Camlin and we can get you guys a response to those. Thank you everyone so much for your time. Camlin, I'll coordinate with you to get another meeting on the books.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.